That's James's sub sandwich. There's that vegetable spread with the red peppers and eggplant and stuff, and then there's Powerball on top. There's asiago and artichoke dip. Uses sauce on that one, and then the Powerball on top on both sides, and then I melted cheese on the grill, and then put the purple cabbage and the tomatoes. So that should be a good thing. James is going to talk about Cosmos again, and I'm going to read a poem first that I wrote called Weary Deer. And I wrote it one day when I was walking, and James and I had separated at that point. He was quite far behind me. I think it was one of the days he was talking to people at the Japanese gardens, and I just went home. So on the way home, I saw this deer. While on a walk the other day, I saw a beat and weary deer. Her coat was rough with mottled gray, and she was short a little ear. Perhaps some deer had bit a bit, or maybe it was lost to frost. It made me sad to look at it and wonder how it had been lost. Perhaps she'd been with others who were cruel and made her life a fight. Then did the only thing to do, went solo after that last bite. By times, the best thing is to go when others make it tough to stay. The solo life's not easy though. Each day's a struggle either way. I saw her struggles easily while she ate something in a yard, and that impressed me, seeing she still struggled though her life was hard. I watched her, wishing I could do her right without a thing to give, then left her there because I knew I really couldn't help her live. I hope I'll see that solo deer in springtime with a speckled fawn. I'll know her when I see her ear, her scar to show that life goes on. So now it's over to James to talk about Cosmos, I guess. I need to eat some water. Lucky me. So James bought his car today. We haven't picked it up yet because we have to get the insurance transferred onto it and all that stuff.
I'm kind of embarrassed to say it's not even an SUV.
No.
It's classed as a van.
Mm-hmm.
So this is our Winnebago.
Mm-hmm. I was telling James our mini Winnebago because that's what we used to call the Dodge Magnum.
Yeah.
But now our mini Winnebago is bigger. It's not so mini.
Now, if I had my brothers, they'd still be making Dodge Magnums, and we would have bought one.
Yep.
So we've decided, despite my smudged up back, I'm going to try to treat it less as a wheelchair, more as a Winnebago. So I'm going to have to do more walking in the city.
Yeah.
But not my choice to have any sort of a vehicle.
No, but we like to travel and sleep in the back. So.
We used to rent vehicles
Mm-hmm.
for cross-country travel. So I was 56 years old when I got my first vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
And actually the purchase I shared with Paul. So only my first half of it.
No, they're your vehicles. My name's not on them.
Well, technically, I guess it's kind of.
So what are you telling us about Cosmos today?
Couldn't find the booklet. I was worried I left it here overnight.
No, I put it away. You have notes in it or something that you want to refer to? Okay. Well, surely you can talk about something off the top of your head.
I'm going to talk about a code word. Euphemism for survival of fitness. Survival of the fittest. Pardon me for chowing down, but I don't know how many miles I've covered today on foot. I'd say 6 miles a minute. What does that work out to? More than 8 kilometers. And it's fairly hot today. Yeah, hot. I won't describe it anymore. The code word or phrase they use is natural selection. So did you bring a pencil out with you?
I can bring it. Can you pass me that one?
There you go. So you got one? Oh. I didn't think this out. I was almost asleep up to the wall. Woke up with a powerful thirst. That's why I'm chowing down on watermelon. It's not a misnomer. Watermelon. We'll talk about the Great Dying. Alfred Wegener, we're talking about that. He's a laughingstock and a pariah. Scientists are human with blind spots and prejudices. That's not any excuse at all for science, big science, having its blind spots and prejudices. So that's where we left off the other day. 1952, Tharp and Heeson or something like that mapped the ocean floor using sonar. So Bozo, otherwise known as Neil deGrasse Tyson, was giving them credit for proving continental drift. You know, he didn't. What of Harry Hess I put there? See, Harry Hess during World War II was using something like sonar, working with submarines, and he's the one who noticed, if I'm not mistaken, the magnetic reversals on the bottom of the ocean floor. That's before 1952. You got that Neil deGrasse Tyson. You taking little notes for when you put when you do the second edition of this, or it'd be the third edition. I mean, Carl Sagan's is the first edition. So, talking about so Harry Hess is I think he was the guy who started really looking at this stuff, the proof, getting the proof for stuff. I've known about Harry Hess. Harry Hess was apparently a crusty kind of individual. Think of the people he had to deal with. So he had to bring in continental drift, help bring it in. And he's the one guy. It was when NASA sent stuff to the moon. They were asking around scientists what to look for on the moon. And they got around to Harry Hess. This was, he would have become something like an establishment figure, but he wasn't a classic establishment figure. In other words, he wasn't looking to pound the establishment line down people's throats. So he actually asked Velikovsky, can you believe it? Establishment figure by this point in time.
That's a blue jay.
He's making a different kind of sound. I could hear the first sound. Holy smokes! Hi. How you doing, guy? Are you feeling kind of like a jay? Wow, that's a different kind of sound.
He's making all sorts of fun noises.
Are you talking with us, guy? Kind of are. Are you hoping for some peanuts?
There he goes.
Oh, I guess he didn't like peanuts. Anyway, Harry Hess was such a honest scientist. He asked Velikovsky, what can we check for on the moon? And Velikovsky asked for, this is the technical term, remnant magnetism. So the signs that rocks were made under a stronger magnetic field, or just a magnetic field. I think the general idea is the moon doesn't have a magnetic field. And Harry Hess, I'm pretty sure the way he got that checked was he didn't tell folks with NASA and stuff like that, hey, check this out for Velikovsky. He said, good loss, guy, get stuffed. And probably not that diplomatically either. There probably would have been several cuss words and stuff like that. Anyway, guess what? There's remnant magnetism on the moon. Velikovsky is right. And I don't know if anyone advertised that. Hey, Velikovsky got it right. They would have done remnant magnetism. We knew it all along. Yeah. Which is what Velikovsky said they'd be like when it came to his theory. The idea that Venus came close to the Earth, or much less hammered the Earth. Velikovsky didn't have that conception that it hammered the Earth. But he had some sort of idea that somehow or another it brought meteorites or something like that, impacts, events on the Earth. I don't think I have a very clear idea. Maybe he thought that Venus at one point in time, although I don't think I ever made it explicit, had some moons, like small moons, like Mars has a couple of small moons, Deimos and Phoebus or something like that. And maybe thought that those slammed into the Earth. He was on the wrong track there, but he was definitely on the right track about catastrophism coming from the sky. So Neil deGrasse Tyson talks about the Triassic extinction. Knockout punch came from out of the blue, is the way he puts it. Wow, really poetic. Got the poetry in it. Anyway, dinosaurs froze and starved to death. Froze. I put froze, but I misread it. I'm kind of still trying to wake up. And starved to death. Yeah, that's what happened. So here he's got it right. Cretaceous Tertiary boundary event was a cometary / meteorite impact. Probably more like a comet, a really big one, and one piece of it thumped the Yucatan Peninsula. A lot of the pieces that hit would have just been the impact sites would have been chewed up by. They would have been in the ocean floor, and they would have got chewed up. A Mediterranean turned from a desert to sea in, he said, 1 year. So it looks as though, like it was a desert, a fairly deep desert, and the Straits of Gibraltar opened and seawater came pouring in. It could be true. Wow. I think that dog is upset about hearing that, Maybe you're saying, yep. I'm not sure. Let me see. Yeah, I'm just giving the competition time to catch up. Competition is a strong word. They'll take eons to catch up with, and some of you folks might be thinking, who's this stupid goofball other end of the camera. Who's he to be saying this, that, and the other thing? He seems to think he's smarter than the geniuses. No, I'm not a genius. But I am smarter than people geniuses like Einstein. You should be grasping the idea that if I can figure these things out, those guys are real dumbheads. Dumb. Einstein, Niels Bohr, Heisenberg, I think Erwin Schrödinger, Wolfgang Pauli, dumb, Sheldon Glashow, on and on. Stupid. Hubble, dumb, just medieval thinking, theological thinking, bad philosophical thinking, stuff that just doesn't belong in science, paradoxical thinking. I could go on and on. The people who should be in the Hall of Infamy for science, and the vast majority of them, sadly, would come from the 20th century now into the 21st. Just stunning number. Edwin Hubble, Jules Lemaitre, I almost said Charlot Hapley, but Harlow Shapley. I'm going to give Cecilia Payne-Gaposchkin maybe a bit of a pass. She might have actually contributed something, although she was used as a hatchet person against Velikovsky by Harlow Shapley, who is at the very least a fellow traveler of the commies. I've heard some people describe him as a commie. I'm not sure. He was the one that orchestrated the witch hunt of Velikovsky back in 1950.
Did you talk about Darwin yet?
I'm going to talk about that, yeah.
Oh.
Okay. So, I'm going to show how the law of natural selection works. Law of natural selection. So, give me a number. Between 0 and...
Put 5.
Well, I ask you a bunch of numbers is what I was going to ask you.
Really, this whole idea of natural selection is the kind of people who supported it. They're not good people.
Who came up with it originally, and then the people who followed up on it. Mm-hmm.
Because if you think about it, there's a lot of people that, like I've heard it from hunters, they'll say, well, it's good that we hunt because that takes out the weakest ones and leaves. Well, they're not going for the weakest ones necessarily with their big shotguns and scopes and stuff. They want a buck with a good rack and whatever, right? They're not taking out the weakest ones. And
it's not as though they're like nature. When it takes something out, it's a competition, kind of like. I mean, it's a fairly even competition. You'll see a hawk or something like that. They'll be going, am I going to make it today? Am I going to see a mouse today or something like that? It's not as though they're going to be wiping all the mice out. But you get these guys, stupid idiots, they go in on their 4x4s or whatever.
yeah,
Or then their ATVs that they've got stacked up on their 4x4s. And, they're not it's not as though they're bow hunting and tracking the things down, Some of them might track, but it's not really.
Anyway, like even if there's some deer that, they'll come right up to a hunter. Well, that doesn't make them weak. That makes them trusting of people because they've had experiences where they've run into people who are trustworthy.
Yeah. So it's not natural to be out there with guns.
Yeah.
It's not natural selection. We're going to do natural selection. I'm just going to take out all the zeros. So it's the survival of the fittest. And zeros aren't fit.
Well, you have to show them what you've done here before.
Okay,
I should have grabbed a pen.
I put an array.
Okay. They're not going to see any of that
I'm going to show the
back
result.
there. So
It's all
he
that
has
matters is the
everything
result.
is all written out.
Okay.
And you can hardly see it because he writes so lightly with pen.
I write lightly.
I should have brought a marker.
Well,
I'm getting a marker. because this is
That
not
might be-
useful.
It actually is useful. I'll tell them. I'll describe what happened. So all the zeros are gone. They're X'd out. You know, they got wiped out. I should write targets around. You know, like X at a target. Okay, ones. They're not fit. 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1. Taking out all the ones. Okay. Don't believe me? Well, it doesn't really matter.
I can bring a thicker one if they.
I'm not worried, you know. I'm just going to tell them the results. They're going to have to believe it, you know. Because I'm kind of like a scientist here. Believe me or else. So, yeah. Now I'm taking the 2's out. 2's out. They're not fit enough. Did I only put 2 2's in there?
Do you want different color markers for every color?
That doesn't. Because it's just, I'll just show the colors that are. I'm going to take 3's out now. 3. Okay, just watch me.
There's another 3 of them.
3. 3. 3. That's looking kind of skimpy there, isn't it? Or maybe you think it is. See, Pauline found one, but nature wiped that out. Natural selection. Oh, what's all that's left? I'm going to circle. 4. 4. 4. And then they all propagate and stuff like that, right? They fill in all these spaces. It's all full of 4s. Now, what happens when Cosmos comes along and it looks like the cover of Apocalypse?
Well, it's just,
movie.
it doesn't even matter. If there's only 4s, you see, nature makes it so that those 2's and 3's and 1's and 0's that were in there, they have different traits. And if, say, they're not maybe as well suited to living in really dry environments, but maybe the 4's are really well suited to living in dry environments, and maybe another one is not well suited to living where it's really sunny. Maybe they have they sunburn easily or something like that. And so, but the 4's, they really can tolerate the sun. And one other number maybe can't handle wind at all. Dries right out. Oh, they're dead. But the 4's, they can handle the wind. And whatever, you know, there's these different things. So then you're left with the 4's. All you have is the 4's. And then, it becomes really wet, really cold, and humid for a while, and dark. And so then all the 4's die because they can't handle it. See, so, I mean, there's a reason why having a variety of different genes, there's no fitter genes. There's genes that are better suited for one environment and not another, or whatever. But like if you think of a dolphin, well, a dolphin is, most people wouldn't say, oh yeah, that's a really poorly adapted creature, you know. It's look, they can't walk on land,
yeah,
so
really
they're
bad.
Useless. You know, and they're not, you know, most people would think that they're a highly intelligent creature, and they shouldn't be selected out or whatever. It wouldn't be right. They're not, I mean, anyway. But if you put them on land or whatever, if you take them out of the environment that they're actually suited for, and they won't do so well. And if you put us into the environment that they're really suited well for, then we won't do very well either. You know, it's that's why nature makes a whole bunch of different genes, people that are suited, you know, maybe some jellyfish people who are suited for the jellyfish environment, and some other bear people, cougar people, whatever, butterfly people, they're suited for their environments, and there's genes within those groups. So some are better suited, you know, like after the fire in Waterton. We were amazed.
I was going to bring this up.
Yeah,
Keep going.
because no, you go ahead then. You bring it up.
So I think it occurred 2017, the big fire in Waterton, and some of the surrounding areas. And I think we were up there maybe 3 years later. For a while there was a hiatus. I guess we didn't want to go walk through burned out area. Something like that. So we went up there, I think it was 2020, and we're going, there's a black grasshopper. There's another one.
Yeah, and it's funny
There's
because
another
we've
one.
never seen them before.
The
being
only
black,
ones
right?
we saw on the trail were black.
When after the fire.
Then we ran out of trail on the black stuff, and then we were seeing regular grasshoppers. And it's very much like one of the big proofs in the textbook of Darwinism, which is
Yeah.
moths, I believe it was, and
Which
butterflies.
actually doesn't work because
It's a counterexample.
it is, but they still use it.
Yeah.
But they don't tell you the whole story where it ended up.
Or they
right?
do, and they actually say it becomes even greater triumphalism.
Oh, really?
I will tell the whole
Which-
story. Okay?
Ridiculous.
So they're going around saying this one area in England industrialized, and all of a sudden these moths or whatever they were, which were I guess something like white, they became gray, because they're the ones that survived in the fall, the ash and fallout and stuff like that from this industrial area. Then, so they were saying, wow, there's a huge triumph. It shows this kind of speciation beginning to happen. He didn't create a new species. See, what happened was, I guess it was in the 70s or something like that, environmental movement comes along, and they were effective in this one area at least, and they got the fallout to be cut back at least. And then all of a sudden, the moths or butterflies are white again. And honest to God, they say this doubly proves evolution.
Well, it doesn't, because obviously the white ones weren't weeded out, or they wouldn't be white again.
No.
So that gene still exists within the species.
It could be a combination
And
of genes. It could be just one gene that
Yeah.
allows them to change based on the kind of environment.
And
that
we
they're
were seeing that
exposed to.
sort of thing in Waterton after the fire.
With the
Black
grasshoppers.
grasshoppers, and now they're back
Guess
to
what?
normal again. Yeah. So
Yeah,
it's
7
not
years
all-
later. Yeah,
all
we've seen
fur,
evolution
not all
in
charcoal.
at work. Understand, these things, or don't understand, I don't care. But these things, the genes are fairly, like if they haven't been mutated, they will allow, it looks like, a great deal of latitude to the expression of the gene. And there is a survival sort of thing involved in that. But it isn't going to generate a new species unless you get mutation. All you get with natural selection or survival of the fittest, it's a negative process. You don't get anything new. Are you understanding that? All you get is fours, and then fours might fill in this area. But
And that's a bad thing.
I don't
That's
think it's
not
a good thing. Because if there's a change in climate,
then all the
catastrophic,
fours
catastrophic,
disappear and everyone's lost.
Yeah.
So you definitely don't want the survival of the fittest, because one who is fit to one environment is not necessarily fit for all environments or whatever.